Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So now everyone's realized that the consolidation triangle has broke down. Let's take a look at that on Bitcoin and Ethereum. First, I wanted to make sure that I had this assertion that the breakdown was due to the insider information on Bitcoin or BTCe. So I took a look at it. These are the major exchanges up here. This is BTCe down here. You can see they're just based on the line graphs of the charts. There really wasn't any suspicious like selling, pre-selling before or anything else. They all essentially were in lockstep right around the same time they broke down. So this just tells me anyway that either there's multiple people on multiple exchanges, which is likely, that all the bots pay attention to each other, which is likely, that all the algorithms are somewhat the same, which is likely. So I don't think this is too fishy. It doesn't look out of whack to me. And then if we look at volume, so this is a BTCe up here, OKCoin weekly futures, BitThumb, and Bitfinex. Even based on volume at the time of the drop, there really isn't any unusual stuff going on anywhere. Happened around 2 to 2:15 a.m. July 25th. So likely not anything suspicious. And two other things you can look at, the longs versus shorts on margin on Bitfinex. So I'll post all this in the description below. I don't see anything, again, unusual. Here was the breakdown. Here's the price chart here. And here's the shorts. Here's the longs. You can see it wasn't like an uptick in activity prior to anything. So again, nothing really to see here. And the last thing you can look at is OKCoin futures open contracts, which I don't have access to, but you can look at that on OKEX, or whatever it is now. OKCoin's future website. Okay, so let's look at some charts. We've got possible B-band bottoming on low time frames. All these charts are probably meaningless when you have news events like this. I'm surprised it didn't go lower, honestly. We may go lower when the resolution of the servers happens in 5 to 10 days, which is a long time. Anything could happen in 5 to 10 days. But that 5 to 10 day window is also within the window of Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Of course, all those things line up together. So we'll see what happens. But again, going back to that idea of a punctuated equilibrium. But we're seeing lower lows and lower volume, which is a bull div. We're seeing price go less deep into the bands, which is a type of bull div as well. And finally RSI coming up here, adding on to that bull div. And if we look at how it broke on the 2 hour, again, when you get a direction decision, you can't hope it's going to turn around. You have to really treat it as the decision. Certainly there can be fake outs, and I've talked about that plenty of times, head fake, as Bollinger calls it, or whatever. But you just have to assume, I think, that it's going to be what it is once the candle closes outside of the bands. As I'm sitting there at my alarm at whatever time it was when I woke up in my margin position, you have to make a decision that you're either going to adhere to your rules or you're going to go off the train and not trade the way you should be. So cutting it here was obviously painful, but you would have gotten margin called, I'm pretty sure, depending on what leverage you're using, if you didn't close it at that time. And again, here's 2 hour cloud. You can see it had a chance, had a snowball's chance here, and then it closed into the cloud. So again, this edge-to-edge trade, still active technically, around 23.75 would be the ultimate target on that. Although, seeing 3 drives, 23.75, 26.25, something like that. Anything in the cloud is a huge range here. And on the hourly, you can see the edge-to-edge initiated on that first drop. So if you're looking at lower time frames, you would have caught that it was time to get out of anything if you were long, at least on margin. And then just in general outlook, this is 4 hour. I mentioned this a few times, but I consider any triangle point to be support resistance line. So it's kind of interesting, we're sort of in no man's land here, and I consider no man's land to be, it's either resistance or support. It's not both, at least the past 2 times. So this is an interesting spot to be in. But, you know, if we break this zone, we can certainly just fill the gap right up to 27.75 again. How crazy would that be? Then looking at Ethereum on the daily, I was tweeting about this yesterday, but you know, we're getting repeated Kijun bounces to the downside here. Super bearish. Great entries for shorts as far as that's concerned. Any chance, any real chance would be of reversal around 813 based on the cloud, you know, plus or minus 2 days here, which lines up around July, or the hard fork for Bitcoin. And the 4-hour cloud signals I was watching as far as the entry for additional adding to my long, you know, I was saying the Chiku span, this line here, it never reached above cloud, above price. So although all the other signs were there, that one was not. So you can see, you know, if it starts to drift back up here around, again, August 1st, price and Chiku span and all that other stuff will follow. So it certainly looks possible. You can see it bounced on the Kijun, no surprise. As far as, you know, once the decision is made, that's usually a high likelihood of a target. And finally on the B-bands, again, we're getting bull div on all this. Lower volume, less deep in the band here, higher RSI, although price isn't making lower lows. A nice rounding here, we'll see what happens. Could see it easily going back up to 225, again, just sort of filling that gap. No real problems overall other than BTCe, which honestly, I don't think they're going to come back, so we'll see. I always expect the worst for every exchange. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter, Telegram, and happy trading.